Hey guys, my name is Christian Thompson. I'm going to talk to y'all about a couple of my favorite baits to use on the Santa Fe and Suwannee rivers here in north central Florida. A little background on me. I've been bass fishing for right around 20 years. I've been fishing tournaments for right around 12. I used to fish Bassmaster Opens as a professional. That's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into my favorite baits to use, and I'm gonna tell y'all how I rig them and usually what kind of situations I will tackle with them. So first I'm gonna get into the soft plastics I use. The Santa Fe and Suwannee River's main forage is gonna be crawfish. Now the largemouth that are in there, they're gonna be preying upon smaller bait fish and the like, so as well as the crawfish. Suwannee bass, the majority of what they eat is small larval animals, crawfish, little tiny minnows and stuff like that. So basically what we're going to be imitating with the majority of the baits, actually with all of these baits that I'm about to show y'all, is crawfish. The primary species of crawfish we have in this system of rivers is the Springs crawfish. So throughout the year, their normal pattern is like a mottled green, orangish, blue at times. So you're wanting to kind of match that colorway. So my first soft plastic I have for you here is a Strike King DB Rage Crawl, and this is the Bama Crawl color. I'll usually rig this on a 3/0 EWG hook with a 1/8 to 3/16 ounce tungsten sinker on it. Sometimes I'll peg it, sometimes I won't. It just depends on if they're wanting the little bit slower fall rate with you unpegging that bait. I'll mostly be target casting this to cypress knees and bases of cypress trees along boat docks, and I'll run it parallel to the bank along riprap, which is just man-made rock structures. But you'll throw it out, let it drop, bounce it or drag it, whichever, you gotta play around and see what the fish want from a day-to-day basis. But yeah, that's bait number one. That's a Strike King DB Rage Crawl in Bama Crawl. My second soft plastic I'm gonna show to y'all is a Strike King Rage Bug. This color here is called Crawdaddy, and it imitates that mottled color really well. It's got a nice blend of the orange and like a mottled greenish, blackish type deal. This is probably my favorite soft plastic throw down here. I mean, I've caught more fish here on this bait than probably any other bait I'm about to show y'all. And I rigged this the same exact way as the DB Rage Crawl, and I fish it almost the exact same way. The only difference is, you got to fish, like I said, from a day-to-day basis, what the fish are going to want more one day versus the other. But that's a really key bait for me here. Does really well. Now the colors, you can switch your bait and have these same colors. So they make the Rage Bug and the Bama Crawl, they make the DB Rage Crawl in the Crawdaddy color. So you can switch that up, and again, day-to-day basis. Another one we have here, we're going to show you the last soft plastic bait. This is a Strike King Finesse Worm. Usually I use a Zoom Finesse Worm or Trick Worm. Usually the Finesse Worm gets me a lot more bites, but the Trick Worm or this larger Finesse Worm from Strike King will usually get me larger bites. And this I'll throw on a 3/0 EWG just like the other two baits I just showed you, but I'll only throw this usually like 9 times out of 10 with a 1/8 ounce weight on it, and I never peg this. Same thing with this, you're going to be target casting towards cypress knots, bases of cypress trees, boat docks, lay downs, stuff like that. So it's real simple. Fish it like you would any other Texas rigged worm, bounce it off the bottom, do wide sweeps, real slow. Really simple, catches fish. I mean, it does it. Next, I'm going to show y'all a jig, and I recently started throwing jigs out here fairly heavily when I know I'm going to be getting more quality bites, like if I've been catching them on that rage crawl or the rage bug and I'm getting larger fish. I'll typically throw the jig, or if the fish are deeper, then I feel comfortable fishing that, because of course you have current that'll pull your bait. So what I've got here, this is a 3/8 ounce Missile Jigs Ike's Mini Flip Jig, and as a trailer I've got the Savage Gear 3D Crawl, and I'm pretty sure they call this Bama Crawl color as well. Here's the full size of the bait, and typically what I'll do is I'll match it up to where the collar is that holds the bait, and then just thread it on straight. This is how much I cut off of this bait to have it set with the profile that I want. The way I typically like it is just having the pinchers barely peeking out past that skirt. It gives it a real finesse presentation. I pick these tiny legs off. I just pull them right off. It's easy. And now that bait, other than trimming it however far you need to for your jig, is pretty much ready to go. I'll throw that into laydowns. I'm not real worried about losing this, because you have a weed guard on it to keep you from getting hung up, so it makes it real easy. You don't have to really worry about it that bad. On this though, I will beef up my line. I'll use usually 14-pound test on this. With everything else, I'm using 10 to 12. So that's the Ike's Mini Flip Jig with the Savage Gear 3D Crawl. And I'll just bounce that on the bottom again, drag in, do a quick jerk. It'll pop it up off the bottom real quick, and then let it flutter down. Real easy to fish, catches bigger fish, and they eat it. Now, these are my last two baits I'm going to show y'all. This one's a bit old school. Some of the older guys are gonna recognize this. This is the Rebel Deep Crawl. So I'll fish this normally just around riprap. That's usually the only time I really fish crankbaits on the rivers. I'll get parallel to the bank, use my trolling motor to keep me where I want to be up current, or down current, I'm sorry. And I'll cast up and reel down, or you can cast it if you're just floating down the river fishing. You can cast it parallel, but you want to run it along the bank, and you want to make sure that your bill's tapping the rocks and stuff like that, and all looking like a crawfish that's scurrying across the rocks trying to get away, or just hanging out. So this chunk and wind, pause every now and then. It's really simple to fish, really simple. I don't know the name of that color, but it's got a dark brown back, and it fades into a gold with an orange belly, and it imitates some crawfish really well. Last bait, and this is probably the crankbait I've won the most money on out here, caught the biggest fish on. This is a Rapala DT6 in red crawdad, and I fish it the exact same way I fish that Rebel crawfish, just casting parallel to the bank, wind it, pause it, whatever I need to do, whatever I'm feeling. I'll switch it up throughout the day just to see if I get a little bit better luck with that. Real simple. I'm not burning these crankbaits either. I'm just doing it enough to where they'll get down where they need to be and have an action. So I use a 5.3 to 1 gear ratio reel with these typically, and again 10-pound line, but they're real simple. It's easy, anybody can use these baits. It's real simple to fish. You ain't gonna go racking your brain all day trying to figure out how to fish them. So I hope this helps you. Hope this helps you catch more fish, and good luck out there.